Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm glad that you're able to join me today at this kind of quick session on JalTara. So what I'll do today is I'll just go through a brief overview of what JalTara is and our plan to solve India's water crisis. And I know it's an ambitious goal within a decade. But I also want to mention that we're doing this also as part of India Giving Day. India Giving Day is an annual event that happens in the US, where a lot of organizations come together to talk about the initiatives they're doing in India and to appeal for support. And so we're participating in that, and we hope that you'll also be able to support JalTara as part of India Giving Day. So with that, what I'll do is I'll go through the whole JalTara concept of what we do, why our approach in groundwater is beneficial. But I also want to walk through the problem itself and why this problem exists and how JalTara is actually solving it, right? So let's go through that. I believe that if you put comments on LinkedIn, I should be able to see it, and then I'll be able to answer questions. But if not, I'm always available. You can ping me afterwards, and I'm happy to answer those questions as well, right? Okay, so quick intro into what JalTara does. So we are a very highly scalable approach, right? Our vision is to replenish groundwater at scale. We think about it at national scale levels. And our unique value proposition is that we address not just droughts, which is what most people think about, but also floods, right? So we do both floods and droughts. And we have demonstrated what we can do over the past 5 years in over 250 villages, most of them in rural Maharashtra. And this has impacted over 375,000 villagers, right? So what we are able to do is increase water availability. We have nearly eliminated floods and crop spoilage, and we've improved crop yields as well, right? So that's the benefit of what we do. And our vision is to transform over 1 billion lives with nation-scale approaches to groundwater recharge, right? And because of the work we have done, and we've been completely honored last year to be recognized by the President of India, Srimati Murmuji, as one of the best NGOs, actually the #1 NGO in water conservation across India. And this was a deep honor that Purushottamji and I was able to go to New Delhi, meet with President, and also receive this recognition from Shri C.R. Patil, who's the Union Minister for Jal Shakti. So let's talk a little bit about the problem itself, right? What is the water crisis, right? We think of the water crisis not just about droughts, and I said it's about floods and droughts. And the UN also recognized it. UN recognized that climate change is primarily a water crisis, right? Why do they say that, right? If you think about over the past couple of decades, right, extreme weather is causing not just droughts, but also floods. They seem to be two sides of the same coin, right? In fact, since 2000, if you compare over the previous decades, flood-related damages or disasters have increased over 134%. At the same time, droughts have also increased nearly 30%. So it's becoming a double whammy. Both floods are increasing and droughts are increasing. And this is the big challenge that we have. The problem is that this thing disproportionately affects rural lives, right? If you think about the women that are impacted, the children that are impacted due to lack of groundwater or diseases that come with floodwater, right? And the rural poverty impacts. And because of poverty, people are forced to economically migrate. There are studies that talk about the increase in poverty when groundwater levels dip below 25 feet, right? So these are all impacts of the water crisis. And in our perspective, groundwater is the best way to solve this problem, right? And part of the reason is, if a lot of people may not know this thing, but groundwater outside of the ice caps that are in the in the North Pole, etc., the groundwater stores the vast majority of available fresh water for humankind. We see lakes, we see rivers, we think that that's where the water is. Not true. Groundwater is 30 times more capacity than surface water, right? So that is where the vast majority of water is available, and that's why we need to be able to solve it. But beyond that, it's not just about the ability to store more, but if water is underground, it is not impacted by evaporation as much, so you're able to lose less water. Other thing is about water equity. In a rural region, access to groundwater means that a farmer can get water right where they live, right? Otherwise, if they have to get to surface water, on average, it's about 2 to 3 kilometers away. So they can't grow crops if they have to solely depend on surface water, right? And all this translates, availability of groundwater translates to better livelihoods. That's why we at JalTara and Save Groundwater Foundation solely focus on replenishing groundwater, because it has all these benefits, right? But the challenge is groundwater levels are in free fall everywhere in the world, not just in India. India absolutely is the worst in terms of the impact that it has. Over 25% of global groundwater reserves are extracted in India. So this is a problem that is a global problem. In fact, there are studies that says the humankind have extracted so much groundwater that it's actually shifted the tilt of the earth itself, right? So the impact is not just local, it is global, which means that a global problem like this and an urgent problem like this requires problems or solutions that scale. That's why when we think about this, the problem that we actually have to solve in a climate is actually the problem of scaling solutions, right? It's not enough to have a perfect solution that works for one region. Customized solutions cannot scale. So the real problem that we have to solve is how do we scale these solutions at a global, at a nation scale level? And that has been the foundational principle of JalTara. Scale is the foundational thing we think about every single day. If anything cannot scale in our solution, we actually do not do it. We strip it out. We bring it down to the bare bones to enable scale. So scale, now think about this through the rest of the presentation. Scale is the real problem to solve. If you're solving, if you're trying to help something address an issue locally, that is not good enough. So what does that mean in terms of viable solutions for this problem, for this water crisis, right? It has to address both droughts and floods. It is not enough just to address droughts, because floods and droughts are two sides of the same coin. Any viable solution has to have answers for both. You have to be able to address droughts and floods. And not only that, it has to be scalable, as I talked about. And scalable means it also has to be low cost. You cannot have very, very expensive solutions, because that is not going to be able to scale. Right? Now, scale, if you think about scale, scale requires a few things for scale to work. That means that it has to be both simple and standardized. If you have custom projects that are customized and engineered for location after location, they are very hard to scale because they require a lot of expertise and time. Right? So all these things were in mind when we were looking for a solution, and that's how JalTara came to being. It was all about scale and addressing floods and droughts. So what does JalTara do actually? It's a very simple idea, right? What we do is we dig one recharge pit per acre. And for people who do not know what a recharge pit is essentially a hole in the ground, right? Maybe 6 feet deep, maybe 12 feet deep, whatever the number is. In our case, it's 6 feet deep, that breaks through the dense top layers of earth and allows the water to just go down and percolate all the way down to fill the aquifers below, right? So think of it as a transport pipe as opposed to a storage location. A recharge pit transports the water that falls inside it all the way down into the ground aquifers and replenishes. And that's why you see, if you have a well nearby, the water tables will start to rise up inside the well. So that's what a recharge pit. What we do is we dig very simple recharge pits. It's only 6 feet deep and 4 feet across. And what we do is we dig this in farmers' agricultural land. So we go to a farmer and we ask the farmer, when the heavy rains come in your land, where does the water kind of pool towards? Which means that that is the lowest point in that plot of land. At that lowest point, we dig this recharge pit, 6 feet deep, 4 by 4, and we fill it with rocks so that it doesn't collapse on itself. And we do this in very large numbers. In a village, we do about 500 of these recharge pits, right? And when we blanket an entire region with these recharge pits, it has the ability to absorb all the water that comes in there. So the way to think about it, in a place like Maharashtra, which gets about 700 millimeters of rainfall in 1 acre, that equates to about 2.8 million liters of rainwater that falls in that 1 acre. if you're able to capture just 10% of that water through this pit and replenish the underground aquifer, that's 280,000 liters of water for every pit. And now you multiply that 500 in a village. Now you're talking serious amounts of water that we can replenish and sink underground through these very simple, cheap, and scalable, effective solutions, right? And the beauty about these things is they have very simple maintenance, which means that they have very large lifetimes. So a simple pit like this, when we dig them, can last for years and enable groundwater replenishment year over year over year, right? So that is JalTara. It's a very simple, effective idea that a farmer, if they want to, can just do it on their own, right? Which is what makes it a super valuable approach. And what we have done over the past 5 years is we started off in 2021 with just 4 villages and digging 1,400 pits. But till last year, we have reached nearly 260 villages, 250, 260 villages, and we have dug 140,000 of these JalTara pits. Now imagine that. Vast regions just blanketed with these JalTara pits, about 500 pits, maybe a little bit more per village. And this has resulted in about 35 billion liters of water sinking down and replenishing underground aquifers every single year, right? Not just once, but every year the rainfall comes, you get 35 billion liters of water replenishing underground aquifers. And because this is a very cheap and simple and effective solution, we get very high ROI. So when we talk to people who support us, our donors, our well-wishers, etc., they're amazed by the fact that this is very high ROI. So for every dollar that people donate, the amount of water we are able to replenish is very high compared to most methods, because ours is, again, as I said, very simple, standardized, and cheap. So our calculations are, it's about $4.25 for every million liters that gets replenished, right? So this is very high return on investment from a project perspective. And it's a very simple process, as I said, right? The thing that we do is we go to the farmers and we have to mobilize them. We got to get them excited. We got to educate them. So we go and we talk to them. And I'm sorry that these pictures are small. You can come to savegroundwater.org and see all these pictures in glorious HD if you want to. But we go and talk to them. We bring them together. We tell them the benefits of this. We get them excited, and we get their permission to dig in their land, because these are all dug in their land, right? It's in private land, not in public land. And the advantage of that is that we do not need big government permissions to do this thing, because we're digging these small holes in the farmer land. So we get them involved, and with their support, we walk with them and we identify the lowest spot in their land. And we just mark that stuff out. And next we bring these machines, these backhoe machines, they call JCBs, and we dig these pits 6 feet deep by 4 by 4. We are able to dig 3 to 4 pits per hour if we are able to do it efficiently. And then the farmers themselves with their families collect the rocks and fill that pit with rocks. So it's a deal that we have with the farmer. We dig the pits, you fill the pits, right? So it becomes, so that we don't, we're not giving things for free, which then people will not value. This is something they feel they have skin in the game, they're participating, they have accountability, they have responsibility, and they are responsible for solving their own water crisis. And that becomes a very, very valuable approach, which also means that then they are able to maintain these pits as well. And this can be done, very quickly inside a village, inside a farmer. Now, what is the impact of this thing? The impact, so we had multiple studies, and this study is by this organization called Just Impact. It's a Geneva-based company that does social impact studies. And they found that farmer incomes went up, water tables went up. In fact, we were able to find that farmers were able to pump water in order to irrigate their land for an extra hour, more than an extra hour. And we also find, because improved crop yields means they're able to plant more crops in the second season, more acreage under cultivation, right? Reduce crop spoilage. So when heavy rains come, the challenge that happens is that because the earth doesn't absorb water quickly enough, the water just pools there in their land. And if they have soybean or onions or any of these pulses, etc., the whole field gets clogged. Water stays there for 2 weeks, completely spoiling their crops, and they lose their crops. It's a devastating thing. What we found is 95% reduction in crop spoilage. And this is a massive benefit to farmers. So as I said, we prevent both flooding as well as droughts. And that is the benefit that JalTara is able to give to them. Right? Now, what is our goal? Right? As I said, we have a nation scale approach doing this thing. Our goal is not just to do it in a few villages, in a district, etc. This is a global problem. And a global problem needs globally scalable solutions, right? And our vision in India is to go to 100,000 villages. You can think of it as 1 lakh villages. And we want to dig 50 million JalTara pits over the next decade. Right? And what is going to be the impact of this? The impact of this is, we estimate, conservatively, 15 trillion liters of water replenishing underground aquifers every single year. Right? 15 trillion liters. And that, we believe, is a conservative. I think the number is close to 30 to 40 trillion liters. But 15 trillion liters is massive. And just direct benefit, right, of all the farmers and villagers who live in those 100,000 villages, 150 million lives that we're able to impact, right? And if you think about the value of all the agriculture produce that goes across the nation and goes abroad, this could be billions of lives impacted positively due to this JalTara approach of solving for both droughts and floods in these villages, right? So that is the big vision we have, and that's why we are coming to you and asking for your support in solving this problem at a massive scale that will have impact. And what is our goal, right? Our goal, we have already done about 250 villages over the last 5 years. Our goal is to do, can we do 500 villages this year, right? And dig 250,000 of these pits. And when we do that, can we replenish over 70 billion liters of water, right? So these are the goals that we have. It's a big, ambitious, audacious goal for next year, for this coming year. And with your support, we hope that we'll be able to transform the lives of nearly 1 million people, 750,000 villagers we want to be able to transform in this year. And that's what we are hoping to do. But this is not just, and as I said, this is a global problem. Well, obviously, we want to solve this for India because India is in dire straits, and it extracts 25% of the world's groundwater, and it's very dependent that way. But this is a global challenge, and we have a big vision to solve it also globally. By 2050, can we dig 2 billion JalTara pits and replenish 1,000 trillion liters, which is a quadrillion liters of water, and improve billions of lives across the globe, right? So that is the approach that we're taking, because think about it, what we're doing is a very simple idea. All we're digging are simple recharge pits in farmer land, which farmers can do by themselves. We just have to educate them of the benefits of that. And if they fill it with rocks, these things will last a lifetime with very simple maintenance. And once we do that, every single year the rains come, the water is going to percolate down and replenish underground aquifers. And that's what we want to be able to do across the globe. From an investment perspective and a support perspective, as I said, right, what we do is simple, it's efficient, and it's very cost effective. It costs us about $12 to dig a JalTara pit, which includes everything in terms of paying the people who do these things. The thing that we have to think about it is it's a very hard work that happens. People are there digging these things in 40, 45 degrees centigrade, which is 100 plus degrees Fahrenheit heat in these villages. So we pay them well. We pay the local villagers who are, the local youth from those villagers who help us dig those pits. And we dig for, we pay for the machines, we pay for the diesel, everything. The thing that we have the farmers do is collect the rocks and the pebbles in order to fill those pits. So that is what we want to do. It takes about $6,000 per village. And this is a lifetime, multi-generational impact. It's a one-time thing that we do. And it impacts about 1,500 villagers per village. So as I said, right, we're doing this right now as part of India Giving Day. And we would love for you to be able to participate and support us this year and for the years coming forward. And If there are any questions, feel free to ask me, and I am happy to answer any questions either during this call or ping me anytime. My phone number is available. You can reach me on LinkedIn as well. And I completely appreciate all the help. And just as a reminder, again, India Giving Day is coming up this year, where about 50 or so organizations that are part of the India Philanthropic Organization, Alliance here in the US, are donating, are seeking support from the community to make lasting impact in our society. So we appreciate the time, and we appreciate all your support. Right, without you, this thing would never have been successful. Purushottamji, Akiva, and I are very thankful to all of you for supporting us all these years, and we hope for continued support going forward. Again, thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you in solving this crisis across the globe.